Welcome back to Moxie's PhD room. Today I will share with you how I wrote my PhD applications for Cambridge and Oxford. As I have mentioned in my first video, I was able to receive interview offers from all 5 PhD applications I have made to Cambridge and Oxford. So I believe my know-how will be useful for you to write PhD applications that have a high chance to be selected for an interview. So let's get started. PhD applications open as early as October of each year, and applicants have about 1 to 3 months to complete an application. If you are making multiple applications, don't miss the deadline for each application and don't get confused with different deadlines. You can find what PhD positions and programs are currently offered by checking university websites as well as a website called findaphd.com. However, it is also possible for you to speak directly to a PI whom you have interest to work with to seek for a PhD opportunity in his or her lab. Once you found a position or program that you would like to apply for, you can start applying for it when the application opens. In a PhD application, you generally have to provide 3 different referees to whom the host university can contact to receive your recommendation letters. There will be a deadline by which your referees must submit your recommendation letter, so I would advise you to work on this step first when you begin an application to provide enough time for referees to submit your recommendation letter. Because otherwise, your referee could fail to provide your letter by a specific deadline, and hence your application will be declined by the university even though you have completed everything else. Therefore, it is very important for you to work on this at the very beginning. You often need to provide several short and long essays in your PhD applications. These include an essay on your career goals, an essay to describe your research experiences, a statement of interest, an essay to talk about previous scholarships and awards, as well as a statement for a funding application. I will share with you what I wrote on each of these essays and what I have focused on when writing them. Let's start with the essay on career goals. I use this section to convey my aims to establish my own lab and to contribute to both the research and clinical fields. Try to provide specific ideas about your career plan and ways you are trying to achieve these goals. One important aspect to write a good application is to understand what kind of people that the university and the supervisors are looking for. As both the funding bodies and the PI commit their time and resources for a student to do a PhD, they look for someone who has good vision, research experiences, and passion to science. Therefore, try to tailor your application to become this ideal candidate. So, when I wrote about my research experiences, I focused on how I can convey my competence to work as a scientist. For example, I emphasized the range of internship experiences I had and the types of lab techniques that I had performed in these research interns to show that I have a strong research background. Furthermore, I wrote about what I learned from shadowing researchers and attending seminars and lab meetings. If you are making application for MRes and PhD program, sometimes called 1+3 PhD program, you have to write a statement of interest. I advise your statement to answer following questions, such as why you are applying for PhD, why you are applying for this program, why you are applying in this university and this research topic. Also state what you would like to gain from this PhD program. For instance, you can state things like the lab rotations was appealing for you because you would like to experience research in a variety of topics and labs and evaluate which lab suits you the most for PhD from the second year. You can also mention that the training courses offered in the program were appealing to you. It is also good to describe specific trainings that you would like to attend to train certain skills and so on. You should provide specific reasons for applying to MRes PhD program instead of applying for other types of PhD where you apply directly to a specific lab. You can also name several supervisors belonging to this program that you would like to do the lab rotations. While if you are applying for a PhD in a specific lab, you might have to write a project description. Therefore, in those cases, discuss with your supervisor to make sure you understand the project properly. You do not have to use any fancy terms, but just to make sure what you're writing are correct, concise and easy to understand. And this is also true for your CV. In Cambridge and Oxford, you will also have a chance to propose your college preferences. Each college offers slightly different services to students, such as for accommodations, so try to do some research before stating your preferences. If you are international students and/or the PhD program that you are applying for does not cover your tuition fees and so on, you will have to also submit an essay to achieve funding from organizations. For example, you could apply for Cambridge Trust and Gates Cambridge Scholarship if you meet their criteria. The programs I applied for were all fully funded, and I did not need to write any essays for funding. Hence, I cannot tell what I wrote in my essay or how you should write a good essay for this. To improve your application and minimize errors, you should allow your applications to be checked by other people to hear their opinions. For instance, personal tutor and university career service staffs are people you can seek for support. Luckily for me, my personal tutor, who is a researcher, had experiences to work in the admission team of the University of Cambridge. So his advice from the point of view as a researcher and admin staff were very helpful for me. Now let's talk about how much I paid for PhD applications. For Cambridge, I paid £65 to make maximum 3 applications. As I applied for 4 PhD programs, I had to pay a total of £130. For Oxford, they charged me about £70 for each application I made. You might be interested about how many applications will be called for an interview. Let me give you some numbers. When I applied for BHF 1+3 studentships in cardiovascular research in Cambridge in 2019, over 60 applications were submitted, but only about 16 people were selected for an interview to later narrow down to final 4 PhD candidates. In Wellcome Trust 1+3 program in stem cells in Cambridge, over 400 applications were made, and about 15 people were chosen for an interview to select the final 5 PhD candidates. I know these statistics because I applied for these programs and went through their interviews. I understand PhD selection processes are very competitive and you might be scared that you will be rejected. But only those who aimed and prepared for it can get a chance to be selected. If you don't even try, then you have 0% of chance. So aim high and dream big. Don't drop your value by yourself. Finally, I want you to prepare contingency plans in case things didn't go too well. I had 2 plans that I could implement if I failed all of my applications to Oxbridge. The contingency plans made me relaxed and be more confident as they allowed me to manage my fear. So keep some contingency plans. For PhD in biology, it will usually take around a month for you to receive an interview offer after you submitted your application. But you will not receive any email if you were unsuccessful. I advise you to make minimum 3 to 4 PhD applications to ensure that you will receive at least 1 PhD offer at the end. I hope now you have a clear idea about how to find PhD programs and positions that you could apply for and know what to write in your application. In my next video, I will be discussing my experiences in PhD interviews in Cambridge and Oxford. Even if you are planning to apply for a PhD in different universities, I believe my experiences and know-how will be useful to increase your chance of getting PhD offers. Thank you for listening and see you again soon.